A few months ago, I started my Season of Discovery journey, leveling my Warlock Blood Summons with the goal of getting to 60 and taking down the Scarlet Enclave. In today's episode, maybe we do it. Stay tuned to find out if Blood Summons ends his journey in World of Warcraft Season of Discovery. Coming back, we actually find ourselves into a Naxxramas run, which is a huge step up for getting our gear score up. We go ahead with what's called a Hard Mode 3 run, which I believe is the third of the 4 difficulties for Naxxramas, giving us better loot opportunities. Our first boss is a Nubra Khan. Ad's gotta get taken down and the tank needs to occasionally kite. The boss goes down easy as we have a few pretty geared players with us. Now you'll see these glowing borders around the items. That means that this is a soft reserve run. We get 2 each this time. Before the raid you can reserve specific items, and if they drop, the people who have soft reserved that item will have priority over those who don't. In this run I reserved the Desecrated Ring and Circle as they were some of my worst pieces at the time. Next is Grand Widow Fairlina, where we have to AoE down the ads and avoid some avoidable damage. From where I actually get some braces because the first boss did drop some, so these are free game. Next up is my Exner, who throws players onto the wall and ranged have to break them out of the webs, and occasionally stunning the whole raid, so the tank needs defensives and hots rolling. She drops the Wraithblade, which looks great, but we can't get it because it's reserved. The 2 glove drops aren't though, so they're up for rolls, but we don't win those unfortunately. Just before we start the next boss, Noth the Plague Bringer, somebody shares the quest Echoes of War, which I didn't realise until later, but I actually needed that before starting Naxxramas, because completing it is needed to turn in any tier tokens from Naxxramas. So I won't actually be able to turn in any of my gear until I do Naxxramas again the following week. I didn't even know it existed. I thought it'd just be like every other raid, but oh well, we'll be doing multiple runs of Naxxramas anyway. Actually onto Noth though, mages and druids need to dispel to avoid big damage on the raid, which unfortunately many fail to do. But he still goes down first try, dropping nothing for us. After Noth we have to, as a raid, run through this mushroomy area with lots of mobs to the next boss room, avoiding certain paths as they have traps. So we run along this wall and into the next room with Hygen the Unclean. Range can stand on the platform while melee actually have to do the dance. As you can see, we also accidentally pull some mobs through, but we still get the boss down. Hygen dropping naught for Blood Summons. We move on to Lowerthep, who occasionally negates healing on the raid, and you can be next to these spores as they die to get a big damage increase. Though I never do it because I'm silly like that, I guess. Boss goes down and drops 2 rings, which would be great for us, and they're not reserved, but we don't win them unfortunately. Next up is Instructor Vesuvius, who actually needs to be tanked by his trainees, with a priest mind controlling them traditionally. Apparently there's some sort of paladin strat, but I have no idea what that is. We mess it up though, with the boss taking down a tank very fast and being in line of sight of the raid, which means he is basically one-shotting half the raid with his disrupting shout. As we're rezzing to go again, somebody accidentally body pulls the boss and kills a large chunk of the raid again. Third time is the charm as we get everybody up with buffs going out again. We execute the boss properly this time and he drops some Warlock tank rebs, which we win for an off-spec, and some tier boots. Our next encounter is Gothic the Harvester, which is honestly a pretty boring fight. Waves of ads spawn on 2 different sides very slowly, which can be killed by basically 2 players, but actually getting to the boss, he goes down super easy but doesn't drop anything for Blood Summons. After Gothic is the 4 Horsemen. I'm not entirely sure how people tank this fight on Season of Discovery, but my job at least is to just not let my stacks get too high by moving between the bosses, though they go down fairly easily anyway. After taking down all 4 Horsemen, 2 tier chest pieces drop, though one is soft reserved and we don't win the other. Moving on to the next boss though, in the Construct Quarter, Patchwork is a tank and spank DPS race, but you've got to watch your threat as melee I think. He doesn't drop anything I believe is an upgrade however. Grobulus is after Patchwork and you need to drop debuffs away from the raid while the tank kites the boss slowly. Grobulus drops some tier shoulders, however they're reserved so we can't get them. We move on to this pipe here to get ready for the next boss, Gluth. We run through the slimy tunnel as a raid as it damages you if you're in it, and the fight starts as soon as you drop down into the arena. The zombie chows need to be tanked and kited away from the boss, as if Gluth gets too close, it'll eat a zombie and regain a large amount of health. But when done properly, the boss is easy, dropping some shoulders which I don't think are an upgrade, but looking back maybe they were, I'm not sure. Almost right after Gluth is Thaddius. Range take on Starlag on the left, while melee fight Fugan on the right. Once both of these mini bosses are defeated, we jump to Thaddius, with a few people actually failing the jump. Thaddius' mechanic is Polarity Shift, assigning each player a negative or positive charge. You need to stay stacked with your mark, otherwise you'll fall and likely take down a bunch of others with you. Other than that, the boss goes down and unfortunately drops no potential loot for us. But now we're on to the second last boss, Saffron the Great Frostworm. I'm not 100% on the mechanics here, I just knew to get out of blizzards and stand behind frozen people when the frost breath comes out. Doing that, we take down Saffron, who drops a lot of trinkets and enchants for those that reserved them, and we get some tier token gloves too. Moving on, we come across the final boss of the raid, the Arch Lich of Naxxramas, Lich Lord of the Plague Lands, Commander of the Dread Necropolis, Master and Founder of the... Yeah, we DC'd again. My ISP was really not having it this month. But hey, we're back before the fight is over. We skipped the boring part of the fight, of very slowly moving waves of ads. We're in time to be frost blasted, volleyed, and have Guardians of Icecrown spawn. But we take down Keluzard. He drops some desecrated rings, myself and a bunch of others reserved, but with a 93, we secure one for ourselves, as well as a necklace, which is a pretty big upgrade, clearly rewarding our hard work done during that last boss fight. We return to Blurred Summons in a group for the Nightmare Dragons. There's still a few key pieces we could get from these bosses. From the bosses, we actually get an AQ tier bracer, though I feel bad after a while because I actually just totally forgot that I had the Naxxramas braces in my bag. A couple days later, we get into another Nax run, which means more loot, as well as being able to turn in our tier pieces afterwards. This is another soft reserve run. This time we reserve the ring, a tier robe, and a tier helm. As we just ran over the bosses in our next run, I'll rapid fire the bosses. Anubrakan has not for us, as is the same with Grand Widow and Maexter. We then take down Instructor Rezuvius first try, dropping nothing for us though. Gothic drops a headpiece, not quite the one we're after, but definitely still better than our Blackrock Depths monocle. But unfortunately we don't win it, losing to this sub 760 gear score no mage with no trinkets. The four horsemen are a bit messy, but we get it done, winning our soft reserved tier robes. Coming into the Plague Quarter, we take down Noth the Plaguebringer, who drops our soft reserved ring, but we've got to compete with the undergeared gnome mage to get it. With a 74 roll, we win the ring over the mage's 26. Running through the mushroom halls, we start Hygen the Unclean, who doesn't drop anything for us. Onto Lower Theb, I decide this time to actually take a fungal spore buff, even though you can never see me on the damage meters. Regardless, we take the boss down, and there are some tier legs we could get, but we don't win the roll. This ring, however, is a healing ring, and guess who wins it? The gnome mage. Shortly after, they're actually booted from the raid because of it. I think it's because he rolled main spec as a frost mage, while there were actually a lot of healers in the raid who needed it. Less loot competition for us later, I guess. After too much time wiping on trash, we start patchwork, and look, you can actually see us in the meters sometimes. We take down the abomination and he drops nothing for us, unfortunately. While clearing the trash before Grobulus, I get knocked unbelievably high in the air. Did not know that could happen. After a quick res, we get the boss down easy. Grobulus drops a dagger, which would be good for us to go with an offhand we have, though we don't get it this time. Heading into the next boss, Gluth, the ads are tanked scarily close to the boss, and as you can imagine, Gluth ends up eating some chow when we wipe. We take a long run back, regroup, rebuff, and head in again. Though once again, the ads are tanked a little close, and I think the main tank is getting feared too, which does not help. With the boss low, we wipe again due to the healing, and then people decide to quit. Apparently Pug can't handle doing a boss for a third time when there's only a few bosses left. Oh well. That ends our Naxxramas run. However, we still have loot to collect. Cashing in our tier tokens with the materials needed, we bump our gear score up to a massive 1047. We'll even later use some fragments from the new Avalon Weeklies and a Scarlet Enclave hood to combine into the tier helm from the Scarlet Enclave raid, bumping us up to a nearly 1.1k gear score. Feeling really good at this point, and I'm feeling pretty prepared to venture into the Scarlet Enclave. Now, to be honest, it actually took me weeks and weeks and weeks to find a Scarlet Enclave run. My playtimes just weren't really suited for a lot of runs, and even if I could find one, I'd always want someone with more experience or more gear. But after ages of searching, we finally came across a guild run who just needed a few spots filled with the guild bread vendors. These guys were super chill and nice to play with, and the raid leader seemed like a cool guy. After a very long amount of time summoning, as is our job, we start the raid with the first boss, Balnazar. There are stack points the range can stand in to avoid damage, as well as hit the boss while he's flying in the air. Otherwise, we take down the boss actually first try. Now for this run, we're doing all the loot at the end, and we've reserved just one piece of loot, being a belt. This is because some of us are a bit less experienced and lower gear score, but I think that's fair. The next boss, High Commander Beatrix, is a pretty ad-heavy fight, with waves of ads to cleave down and even lines and swirlies to dodge. Though with our Shadowbolt volley, we actually end up hitting a mob before it gets aggroed by a tank, and we die. Though the raid still gets the boss down. We travel down to the docks and take on Mason the Echo, who spawns oil patches, can light those patches on fire, and occasionally goes immune while two teams do something on the boats I don't actually remember. But once again, another boss down, first try. We fight through some more of New Avalon and begin Solistraza, a great proto-drake. Range stack and move as a unit to minimize fire in the room, and melee have to take these circles to the walls for the same reason. Once you take the boss down to 0 health, she actually changes colour, heals to full, and spawns some whelplings that you've got to take down. After a few times getting the boss to 0%, we actually do it and defeat her. Moving on to Alexi the Beastmaster, this is actually a very easy fight for us as ranged, as we can just stand on this roof while the bosses are being tanked on either side of this little fence. One of the bosses does some sort of shockwave that you're meant to dodge, but as ranged on the roof, you don't even have to worry about it. Alexi falls as we quickly tank down another boss. This is a really smooth run so far, quite enjoying it. We then venture into the Great Chapel, clearing corridors of ads and then coming on to the council fight, featuring Herod, Vicious and Doan. From what I remember, Vicious needs to be kicked, Herod needs to be tanked away, and Doan has to go down first as he teleports around the room and does a lot of damage. During the fight, we actually die because Herod comes around and just smacks us. We definitely didn't have aggro, so I don't know what that was about. A little later, the room fills with lava and fire tornadoes swirl around the room. The raid, being the game as they are, take down the bosses. After them is Lillian Boss, which is a boss with a lot of move out mechanics. If you get any circles on you, just move out. And sometimes you have to keep moving for a debuff. Easy boss. And now we're here. Our first time ever in Scarlet Enclave, we've actually gotten to the final boss, Grand Crusader Calderan. In the first phase, most of the raid stands directly behind the boss, while a couple tanks stand to the side tanking ads. He occasionally casts a blind you need to look away from. If you get a fire circle, you need to drop it by the pillars. However, somebody messes this up and we have to try and make some weird maneuvers to better tank the boss. On reaching 50%, the boss becomes immune and now we have to take down the Ashbringer itself. While it does heavy damage to the raid, but because of the misplaced fire, we have to wipe as our melee can't hit the boss and it's just too messy. Next try though, we do it much cleaner, though I fall during the Ashbringer phase just due to raw damage. He starts to cast Dying Light as the raid runs to this safe zone at the front of the room. The boss teleports away while the raid follows him. We're now outside with the chapel surrounded by fire, with ash and smoke in the sky. Unfortunately, we can't get the best angles with the floor POV, but the raid seems to be handling it. The boss's health goes down slowly as he spawns Edge, which needs to be cleaved down, as well with the blind mechanic from the first phase. As Calderan hits 10%, the Ashbringer comes back and you have a flat 60 seconds to get it to 0%, or the raid wipes. It's scary as we have some DPS down and some mechanics like a flamethrower are still happening. The cast gets close to finishing and with 5 seconds left, the raid takes down the Ashbringer. The boss, now with a broken blade and low health, falls to the raid. Sucks to be dead on the kill, but it was really cool to see her regardless. There's a lot of loot to roll on, most of it reserved or unusable, but we do get some tier token legs as well as these pages for a potential offhand. But yeah, we did it. Maybe a little anticlimactic with the floor POV, but we took down the Scarlet Enclave raid. We did it. The run was very fun. I enjoyed the raid and the guild we ran with. From levels 1 through 60, we've had many adventures. Our ups and downs, met a lot of people. Some good, some no majors, and we return to Northshire Valley, where it all began. Season of Discovery has been really fun, and I'm very happy I was able to get into it before the population fell off too hard from the announcement of no more updates from Blizzard. If I had known what would be in store, I definitely would have stuck with it more when it first came out. I want to thank everyone who's been along for the journey, those I've played with, my live viewers, video viewers, subscribers. You've all been amazing and shown me support I never thought I'd receive. This series has really lightened up my spark for creation again, and I want to continue making more videos like this. If you've liked what you see, Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe. It helps more than you know, and it motivates me even further. I do have things planned for the future in WoW content creation, so be sure to stick around. Thank you everyone. You're all amazing.